Hello and welcome to the NFL 2021 Week 9 weekly recap. Before we get into what transpired over the past week, Week 9, I want to remind you that we're going to start our playoff projections. I decided to do that on Thursday, this coming Thursday. Today is Tuesday. We'll normally do our weekly recaps on Tuesday, and we're starting our playoff recap, our projections for the same week on Thursday. So I also wanted to remind you that I'm posting a video talking about the playoff tiebreaker procedures. I want to go over those prior to releasing the video for the projections, because what you get into are the rules and requirements that, aside from the division seeds, the rules that will solve tiebreakers for the 5th, 6th, and 7th seeds. So having said that, let's get into Week 9 and look at what transpired with our weekly matchup results. Alright, we have the Arizona Cardinals on the road against San Francisco, beating the San Francisco 49ers 31-17. Week 9 had actually quite a few upsets, and the first one of that week would be the New Orleans Saints at home against the Atlanta Falcons. The Saints lost 27-25. After beating Tampa Bay the previous week, the Saints had an opportunity to basically take over that particular division, and didn't happen. So they were upset by the Falcons. We'll see what happens in the weeks to come. The Baltimore Ravens at home in overtime beat the Minnesota Vikings 34-31. The Jacksonville Jaguars won a really low-scoring game, 9-6, at home against the Buffalo Bills. The New England Patriots on the road against the Carolina Panthers won handily, 24-6. And we had the Monday night game featuring the Chicago Bears on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers won 29-27. There was some really horrible calls in that game. It makes you wonder about the status of NFL officiating. It was a terrible game. We had the Cincinnati Bengals at home getting thrashed by the Cleveland Browns by a score of 41-16. Perhaps the largest upset of the week were the Dallas Cowboys at home against the Denver Broncos. Broncos manhandled the Cowboys 30-16. It was really a awful game performance by the Cowboys at home. Remind you of the Jason Garrett years. And other than the Denver Bronco fans and the Cowboy haters who enjoyed that game, I have to say that the NFL execs loved it, because if Dallas falls out of the running for the number 1 seed, as I said a month ago back in October, remember, the playoff wildcard round had one of those games moved to Monday night. And right now, if the Cowboys are the 2nd or 4th seed, doesn't matter, that game will be on Monday Night Football. So the NFL execs, I'm sure, love that game. Kansas City at home against Green Bay. Kansas City won 13-7. Aaron Rodgers had a COVID issue and wasn't allowed to participate. He should be back for the next game, but we'll see what happens. Miami Dolphins at home against the Houston Texans handily won that game 17-9. And Thursday night game, we had the Jets, a really high-scoring game on the road against Indianapolis Colts. The Colts won 45-30. we have the New York Giants, another upset of sorts. The Giants beat the Los Angeles Raiders 23-16, and we had Philadelphia Eagles losing at home against the Los Angeles Chargers by a score of 27-24. And finally, the Tennessee Titans took care of the Los Angeles Rams. The Titans on the road won by 28-16. So there were at least 4 significant upsets. I had, on my computer software, I had the Giants and Kansas City, the Cowboys, the Panthers, and of course the Saints, all expected to win handily, and they all lost. So, having said it, let's take a look now at the division standings. In the AFC, we now have a tightening race between the Bills and Patriots. The Bills are in first place at 5-3, but the Patriots are right behind them at 5-4. And in the AFC North, we have the Ravens at 6-2. But again, the Steelers, back from the dead, are at 5-3, 1 game behind. We have the AFC South, the Titans handily in control at 7-2. The Colts are at 4-5. So, as it looks right now, the Titans are in the lead to probably take the #1 seed. And then we have the AFC West. The Chargers, Raiders, Broncos, and Chiefs are all 5 wins. So that's going to be a horse race to see who gets the nod for the division winner. Now let's move on to the NFC. Despite the loss, Cowboys at 6-2 are still 3 games ahead of the Eagles, Giants, and of course the Washington football team. We have the Packers at 7-2 still, over the Vikings at 3-5. The Vikings have been suffering some horrible losses by close games, but they're at 3-5, and of course Lions are still winless. Buccaneers now sit at 6-2 with the Saints right behind them at 5-3, and I would have given up the Falcons and Panthers for dead, but they're only 1 game out, plenty left to play, so who knows. And finally out in the West, Cardinals seem to be cruising ahead at 8-1 to take the #1 seed in the NFC. But the Rams are right behind at 7-2, and then we have the Seahawks and the 49ers. So we've taken a look at our power rankings, and for the first time in weeks, we actually have an AFC team in the top 5, and that's the Tennessee Titans. Cardinals are at top at 8-1, followed by the Buccaneers at 6-2. And then we have the Titans, the Cowboys, Packers at 7-2, and the Rams at 7-2. So we have a fairly tight race, but we're going to project some seeding starting this Thursday and every week afterward, and we'll see. It's going to be fairly volatile, especially in the AFC, but we'll do that. And like I said, look out for the tiebreaker video I'll be posting probably tomorrow, where we'll talk about what the rest of the league's going to look like. So thanks for tuning in, and as always, please subscribe, and we'll see you on the playoff projection video, and we'll do the recap for week 10 next week. Thank you.
Ooh, push that button.